Welcome, 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 everybody. I am Coach Les, and I am here with Mr. Yarwood from Yarwood Martial Arts. And this is session number 30 as we skipped last week. And here we are. And today, this evening, we actually moved the time a little bit to see if we could gather a little bit more viewership. And tonight, we are going to be talking about focus and the importance of focus, not only in martial arts, but also in life. Good evening, Mr. Yarwood.
Hello, hello.
Would you like to kick it off for us?
Oh, sure. So focus is, I don't know, it's something that I think recently people have been struggling with. When we think about say, let's go, I don't know, TikTok. How long are videos on TikTok, right? Most of them up to maybe a minute. And then people move on to the next one. And they move on to the next one. And they just go. Or they scroll on Facebook or whatever it is they like to go look at. They rarely spend more than a minute.
And in fact, on TikTok, just as an input here, after meeting with that gentleman that's #1 in Minnesota, you have to do a minute or more to get paid. To your point, right?
Yep.
So back to you.
Yep. So people have been trained to move on. And they don't have any, there's no focus on something specific that they're doing other than their focus is doing this.
Or swipe left.
Yeah, whatever it is, right? So, and then when I'm teaching students, it's actually kind of a struggle because they're so, especially kids, they don't know any different. They don't understand that there's another way for all this stuff, right? So focus is a big part of getting kids to get disciplined, to get confidence, to get all these things, because if they're not paying attention or they're not specifically focused on something in particular, they wander off. And if I'm trying to teach them and within 5 minutes I have to bring everybody back and start again because they've all done their thing, right? It gets to be a challenge. So focus is actually one of the life skills that we work on because it's so important to be able to take the time to spend on one thing in particular that's going to make you better. And it's definitely a challenge, but I've seen the effect that it can have when they start to understand what it is I want them to do, what it is I want them to pay attention to. They start to realize that when they focus on something and they can actually learn a lot more about that thing and may actually enjoy it.
I love it. So for me, one of the things that comes into my mind about focus, and especially with all of the media that's hitting us, right? Not only when you go to Google to look something up, but you get hit with the sponsored ads first.
Yep.
Right? You get hit then with, and I should probably get this correct by maybe look at something here. Let's see. Let me see how it does this, but it will. So it gives you sponsored. Oh, it may give you a Wikipedia. It may give you sponsored ads. And then it will go into the other ads that, the other things that and that you look at and you focus on. And the computer is driving you to focus on what it wants you to focus on. And people pay for that.
Yep. Drag you away from what your original intent was.
Oh, I'm one of the worst, right? If they put the right nut, i.e., for me as a squirrel, because we call that squirreling, right? If they put the right nut, I can completely lose track of why I was there.
Yep.
In fact, so much so that I have to
probably even forget why you were there.
Yeah. So I literally have to go back to the input line of Google where I put in my search and go, oh, that's right, I was looking for that.
Yep.
So whoever they is, right, in this case Google, have trained. They have me trained.
Yep. And you don't even realize it. That's the biggest problem, is people don't even realize that they're trained to be unfocused. I can focus. Oh yeah, okay, pick up your phone and go find this. How long is it going to take you to figure all that stuff out? Right? And they go, but then I found this, and then I found this, and then I saw this. Oh yeah, there's a sale. Oh yeah, there's an event going on over here. Oh, I want to go see that. And it's like,
phone is worse, because
yep,
when you open up your phone, the stuff that wasn't necessarily a priority will suddenly go ping, 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 ping up at the top.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, it is something else. It really is. Achieving goals. Focus helps you stay committed to long-term goals, avoiding distractions and unnecessary detours. Once again, as one of the top things in life, and I believe in martial arts as well, even though it's not listed as the top 5 here, achieving goals, setting those goals, and as a business coach is very, very important. It really is one of those things that, to be able to create a vision. And you can see behind me, I've got a couple vision boards. This was last year's. This is the one I just finished this past weekend for this year. And for me, it is so important to have those goals in my face, hitting my subconscious constantly, to be able to then, when there's a fork in the road that I come up to with a right or a left choice, my subconscious, i.e. my gut, will choose one of them. And it's based on me having programmed that even when I wasn't focused.
Yep. Yeah, we when it comes to the goals part, we have that built in with earning rank, right? Earning stripes, earning rank. And we have a rack up on the front of the wall that has those who get to purple belt, they get their belt up on the wall. And we focus their goals on that belt. In order for you to get to that belt, these are the things you need to do, right? We focus on, okay, we got to learn our moves first. And then the next focus is learning the form, and then doing their homework, doing their purple stripe stuff, which is community service, right? Giving them a focus. That black belt, sure, it's off in the distance, right? But that's how we get to where we want to go. We found a distant point and go towards it, right? That's how we work. Like if we go, out in the woods, you see a tree off in the distance, that's your main focus, and you got to get there, right? If you don't have a direction, you just wander. And that's what happens when you lose focus. You start just wandering off and doing other things. And like you said, forget where you were going. You get lost, you get turned around, you get off track. So when you train yourself to be able to focus on something, it helps you not only short term but long term too, because you bring that destination into view, and you're able to see it out in the distance. And all the little things that are in front of you right now, what do they say? You don't see the forest for the trees, or what? However they say that, right? It's of course you have to focus on things that are directly in front of you right now in order to get there, but you also have to keep your eye on where you're going. So it's important that, being able to train your brain, train your thoughts, train your conscious, subconscious, whatever, to be able to pay attention to one thing that's going to get you where you need to go. That's a practice in and of itself.
And I think when you look at, for me, that whole decision-making thing, and I call it a thing because it really is, right? It's something that in many cases people do. They're looking and they're doing work. They are collecting data. They're going to this, they're going to that, they're going to this. They have teams collecting data, right? And I look at that for that research to be able to continue to do this.
Yep.
And literally, scrunch it down so that then you can choose wisely after properly focusing and looking at all options.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're focused and you don't let those distractions happen, you process information better. You make smarter choices because they're not created by that distraction, that, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah.
Yep.
Right. And mind you, if you look at the sales track for most places, especially look at buying a car, they get you all excited. Yep, you can buy a car. Well, let's do finance. Oh, and by the way, would you like some options? Let me show you and tell you about these options. And we can include those. Right? So in other words, they're saying you won't even notice that you just incurred another expense.
Yep.
It'll roll right in.
It's like, hey, look over here, look over here, look over here. Oh, got this. Okay, look over here. Distracting.
Yeah.
And I guess too, for us with martial arts, it's not necessarily just about that. It's about what we're doing in the moment. Like when we're doing a move in particular, right? If I'm teaching somebody how to do a kick, I could have them just do a kick, right? And everybody thinks they know how to kick, right? But I watch them, and there's a lot of things I see that they can fix that will make their kick better. But if I don't pick one thing, if I try and fix everything at the same time and I don't focus, then they can't focus on getting better. So if I pick a specific element of their kick that I want to work on to make it better, that's what they start to focus on. Maybe it be the chamber or the extension or the pivot or whatever the thing is. When we focus on that one thing in particular, that's one step towards making their kick that much better. But if I just say, all right, I need you to work on your pivot, your extension, your rechamber. I need to work your balance. I need to make sure your hand, if I start giving them all these things to work on, none of it gets done properly. So I want to take one specific thing and focus on that in particular. And then once they get that, then we can move on to the next thing. So that way it's easier for them to be able to get better at what they're doing and understand that the way to get there is to focus on the little things that make the bigger picture better.
I think also one of the things that I enjoy a lot about the possibility of focus is being able to set the noise of the world aside. Right? And I think, when I look at my own experience at the dojo, at the studio, is I come in there and when you don't require us to wear the full gi, right? We could wear a t-shirt, the pants, and our belt. I wear the full gi to support me in focusing. And I do a warm-up and I one of the things that I know happens to me in my warm-ups is that focus. If I had the whole world going on in my head when I walked in the door, and usually Mr. Yarwood and I have a chit chat as we're getting ready to get rid of whatever the day had already provided us
get it out.
to get it out. Then doing a warm up for me then allows my brain and allows me to get connected to my body, to get into the groove for what I call that mind body focus and what I'm there for inside of that particular time frame that I've chosen to do martial arts. And I think one of the things that I see that I've taken away from martial arts and use in my life is that when it comes to doing a chore or an event, homework, or something like that for my job and for my career or for a client I'm working with, I do something to get rid of the noise. So for me, inside of this great, I've got 4 screens that I'm looking at, is I'll go and I'll check email. I might even spend 5 minutes on social media and check my messages. And then I come back and it's like I let that noise just kind of play out. And then once I've done that, I come back and focus. And I think so many of us try to jump right into the fire. And as we're talking here, one of the things that I want to offer to people as a way to work on that focusing is to take a moment to create the space to focus. So deal with the noise. What did I say to you about this? I said, here, let me put it on mute so that the ring doesn't suddenly, not that anybody's going to be calling me, but that ring would distract me.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that most people don't understand about muting their phone is the phone ringing distracts everyone in the room. And some people will go, well, can't they be cool and calm? No, first they have to discern if it's theirs. Mm-hmm. Second, they want to figure out who it is that they can then make wrong for having not turned it on.
Yep.
And it's like a mini soap opera happens. Right? Yep. And, every time I do a talk where I stand up in front of a group of people, I will literally start off by saying, okay, everybody, grab your cell phones. And it's amazing how many of them are already have them grabbed.
Already there.
And I will have them physically check to make sure it's on mute, including myself. So that's what I think is another disciplinary and mastery of creating focus, looking what are those things that we can be responsible for? What are those skills that we can put in?
It starts with a conscious decision, right? You decide that you're going to be focused and you do the things necessary to create the environment that allow you to be focused. Get rid of the things that are going to distract you and just clear it all out and then go forward. Because if you don't take care of those things, ultimately, you're more than likely going to be distracted. And you might even be thinking about something that goes along with your phone that's going to distract you. Maybe you're like, okay, I'm expecting a call and I can't turn it off because what if I miss the call, right? And instead of thinking and focusing on what it is you're doing, you're like waiting for that thing to happen. So clearing your plate, clearing all your stuff out when you start doing something and taking and making sure that what you're doing, what you're focusing on is your priority, then you can train yourself to focus that way. Otherwise, even with distractions, that things that might happen, things that could happen aren't a distraction for you because you're not anticipating that they will.
And, and you look at when you're in martial arts itself, when you're striking and doing precision and accuracy work, the ability to clear your mind is such a great skill to learn, right?
Yeah.
And especially for little kids. And I tell people all the time, when I look and see people get upset at something that happens, that something that happened isn't necessarily the first time that that thing has happened that's triggering somebody and getting somebody upset. It could have happened 40 years ago and it was unresolved. So when that thing happened, it hijacks you and you get what we commonly refer to as an amygdala hijack. And there's nothing that you can do to stop it. It just, you get hijacked. Where the training comes in is in that hijack. How long do you allow that hijack to impact you? And are you able to set it aside so rapidly it occurs as a blink?
Yep.
And I've seen coaches that, that have done seminars that I've been to over the years that are, when they get triggered, there is a tiny shift in a facial expression or an eye twitch or a blink, and they refocus. And in that moment, they deal with it, set it aside, and refocus. And you have to literally know that individual really well if they've done all the work and practice to get to that level.
Yeah, and that's just like everything else we talk about. That's what it takes is practice. You're not going to just automatically be able to do it because everybody gets distracted by things. And especially now when, it's everything is going on all the time, constantly, whether it be the 24-hour news cycle or you get all of your notifications are turned on all of your apps on your phone. You're constantly getting connected with whatever it is that you're doing, and you don't really have an opportunity to just turn everything off and focus on what it is that you initially set out to do. So if you're not practicing that, then it's you're not going to be able to do it. You're going to be distracted over and over and over again because it's going to happen. There's no way around it. And to know that you can deal with it and move on from it and stay focused on your task or goal or whatever it is you're doing, the more you do it, the better you're going to get at it.
It's really great. When you look at, is it the Shaolin monks? They're the ones in orange, right?
Uh-huh.
The focus they have to do some of the things that they do is like, that's at the pinnacle of focus. I mean, to watch them do some of the I mean, for lack of a better way of explaining it, the superhuman feats that they do
Right.
are mind-boggling. And you wonder, and people go, how could they do that? They must be special. And I'm here to tell you, the specialness that exists with them is the focus on training and discipline, mastery, mind-body connection, reaction time, frequency and accuracy, the awareness of their surroundings as they've grown up every single day to be able to get to that point.
Yep.
And when you look at that level of training, it begins to be understandable. Excuse me. Thank you. How the focus that they have can produce the results.
Yep. Yeah, it's vital that you're able to rein in all of the distraction and put it all onto, okay, here's what I need to get finished. Here's what I need to do. Here's where I need to go. Because if your brain isn't focused, then your body's not going to do what you want it to do, right? If you're distracted by something internally and thinking about something other than, say we're training martial arts, I'm trying to teach kids, a form, for example, right? We're working on 5 moves, and we go through it, and they're looking around, they're bugging their buddy, they're waving at mom, they're all these other things other than focusing on the form, learning the form itself. When it gets to the point where I say, okay, show me what we just learned, right? They just look around like, what? I didn't learn anything, right? Because they weren't paying attention and focusing on what it is I was trying to teach them. So it's important that internally in that brain, it's connecting with the body, so you start to remember the things that you are supposed to be focusing on. It's not just that mental part, right? Then your body will be able to do and perform the way you want it to, the way you're trying to train it. So connecting those two is vital to make it more what's the word I'm looking for? Effective in your training.
And Jeff Green threw in here from Jay Pettingill, situational awareness. We mentioned part of that. Martial artists must stay aware of their surroundings, opponents, and strategies. And here's the great thing about that is, where in your life could you not use a heightened situational awareness?
When you're sleeping.
Well, so I'm gonna actually disagree with that, because I'm gonna say there are people that go to sleep and they have horrible sleep because they can't turn their mind off. They're so busy thinking about tomorrow or what they didn't accomplish today, and they have not learned how to focus on sleep. Right? People look at, often say, Les, you're so hyper. How do you sleep? I'm like, well, when it's
like
time,
a baby.
when it's I'm a log. I'm like, when it's time to sleep, I sleep, and I do it super powerfully.
Yep.
Because there's not a lot of time.
Yep.
Right?
You only have so much.
Exactly. So if I waste time rolling back and forth, reviewing and going through the day, are you kidding me? I do that during the day.
Yep. Focus on sleeping.
Yep. So it's really, it's a really great, I think that's a really great example to be able to stay situationally aware of what it is you're doing, how you're doing it, what is the attention to detail you're putting in, i.e., what is the focus that you are bringing to everything that you do. Think about it. If you're not focusing on brushing your teeth, you could skip a side.
Yeah, there's a lot of places, you think about if you're driving.
Oh my gosh.
Or you're having a conversation with somebody and you kind of drift off into your own mind while they're talking. Maybe you're in a 3-person conversation and you stop paying attention, and then they go, "What do you think, Les?" And you just go, sounds great to me. What? That sounds great to you? You know what I mean? So if you get lost in your thoughts or something, and you lose focus on what it is you're doing. That can be there can be some consequences that come with that too.
Yeah. Distraction.
Yep.
I think we should do a couple of talks about negatives.
We have plenty of those.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, distraction would be a great one.
Yep, for sure.
That whole please, and then procrastination. Woo.
Yep.
But I appreciate this, and in conclusion for today, I like what you've written here. Whether in daily life or martial arts, focus is the key to success. It sharpens the mind, enhances discipline, and ultimately leads to mastery in any field. Like a well-trained fighter, a focused person can overcome obstacles and achieve greatness. Would you like advice on improving focus in training or daily routines? If that is you and you'd like advice, be sure to go to Yarwood Martial Arts Facebook page, go to Less is More Coaching Facebook page, reach out to us, and go to our websites and come and check us out and come in and take a test drive. See what it looks like to focus on something unique and different that can provide so much in life for you.
Yes, sir.
Any final thoughts for you, sir?
No, I mean, it's practice it. Practice focusing. Get out there, put your phone down. Your first one should be put your phone down for 5 minutes. Start there. And don't focus on that. Pick up a book or write down some stuff on paper. Physically write things down, your thoughts, whatever. Just challenge yourself to get away from that thing that makes you lose focus on everything else.
I agree. It's a tough one. A lot of clients that I've dealt with in the past, I have them set up a little table, like a nightstand table or a small one with a charging station for all phones and iPads. And during certain hours, all equipment is on that table. Well, but I wake up to my cell phone. Then buy an alarm clock. They still make them.
Yep.
So excellent. Well, thank you, Mr. Yarwood. Thank you for this.
Yes, sir.
I hope that there are some people that have gotten some value out of this or see this and listening to the replays. And
yes,
here
sir.
we go.
You on the mats.
Whoop, whoop.